Okay, so in this recording, what I'm going to be doing is just showing how to run some GUI applications in the OpenSUSE that I've been running on Windows 10. So basically, if you want to get the commands that I'm going to be using, you can go to our website and then go to applications used, and then if you find this one, which is running X11 GUI applications on the Windows Subsystem, and then in there it will have the commands I'm going to use, so you don't have to sort of type them out. Right, so I'm just going to get the OpenSUSE boots up pretty quick. So now we just got to set some things up. Actually, this is a Windows application, so you don't run this in the command shell. Get it from this annoying source forge with all the adverts. Alright, so you've just run that. Of course, it doesn't have a certificate because this is like free software and they don't want to pay the grand. I don't know how many thousands you have to pay in order to get a certificate from Microsoft, just so you don't get that yellow box. Just get this source forge out of the way because it can be a bit annoying looking at all the animations on their page. Okay, you notice that there's a lot of fonts being installed, so I'm just gonna show. Well, anyway, the next thing to do is you need to have a command in Bash, so that basically when an application is run inside the OpenSUSE, it looks for the connection to the XServer. So what we're doing is we're saying that it's going to be on localhost, which is a network connection, screen 0, and we put that into the bash RC so that the application can know where to look to be able to connect to the XServer. And so now if we echo display, see, there's nothing there. So what I need to do is to exit out and then go back in. And so now if we echo display, see, it says localhost. So now any GUI application we run will know how to connect to the XServer, and of course for the XServer to be there, we have to make sure that it's actually running. So we just run it by clicking on this little sort of icon which looks like an Xming icon. And I found that the one you want to choose, or it seems like he recommends to choose multiple windows. And so you want to start no client. And you don't want native OpenGL because, well, yeah, I'm running in the virtual machine, but if you're running on your normal hardware, then this might help, and then you just disable access control so you don't have to, so it's easier for it to connect to the XServer. Yeah, so you got to let the firewall let it through the firewall so that the applications can connect to it, because the firewall would normally block it otherwise. I know I've got the top command there first, but I just want to show you what can happen. So even though the fonts were installed there, you think that should be okay now. Everything should be good to go for running applications. But what I'm going to show is that if you try to do it with just that, you know, an install of the application itself and the XServer in Windows. So I'm just going to install this Git Code, because what this is just an application which you can use to view sort of Git repositories. Alright, so that's installed. So now what we can do is you can run the Git Code, and if I run it, right, you see actually it's managed to find the XServer. So we've got the window up, but you notice that it's got all these square blocks, and the reason for this is that if this isn't a problem with the fonts actually in Windows or in the XServer, the XMing, well, this is its new name. It's actually a problem with the fonts actually inside the OpenSUSE. So what you have to actually do, this is the reason why I had to have the second set of, which I should have run first, obviously. But I just wanted to show you what the problem is and why you have to run this command. Because basically, when applications install, you have to get used to the fact that sometimes they'll install everything they need to run, but sometimes applications will not install everything that's necessary for them to display properly. So even though the application is running, you think it would be okay because it's it's satisfied all its dependencies, but no, the fonts don't count as a dependency. They're actually something that the application expects to be there, basically. And when they're not there, you just end up getting those black squares. Because simply the font it asked for, the XServer just said doesn't know what it is. Or no, actually I got that wrong. The X11 libraries on the WS, the subsystem, those libraries tried to look for the font that Git Code asked for and couldn't find it, so they just ended up giving it square blocks instead. Yes, I think I had this happen last time, but it doesn't matter because the fonts are installed. I think it's just some script. Right, so now that's better now. So all the fonts are there. And so what you can do, so what you have to understand also is that what you're looking at here in this window, right? So what you see here, this is basically the root directory, which is on the OpenSUSE. It's not on the local Windows machine. So whenever these GUI windows come up, you just have to remember that. So if I choose this testssl.sh, which is a Git repository, then you'll find that it will show up. So of course it's up to date, so nothing will appear in here. But then if you go to branch, and then visualize current branch. It shows you all the changes and whatever that's happened. And you can see all the development that's been going on with the so it shows you how much work. So test SLH just seems like it, you think it's just some simple bash script, but when you look at how much work that they've put into it, you can tell this is a lot more than a simple bash script. So they've obviously been doing quite a bit of work, and that's why it's so effective as well. But anyway, Git Code is available on Windows, so this is just more of a sort of test, just to show that it works. But it also means I've also found that there's certain applications which don't actually run on Windows, and so you actually have the option to try and run them as well. So one example is Xscreensaver, because obviously the JWZ guy, he definitely doesn't like Microsoft or Windows. So you can definitely forget about ever seeing Xscreensaver running on Windows. So the only way you can get to see any of the screensavers that come with it is you actually have to you have to actually run it on some Unix or X11 based machine. Because Unix by itself isn't enough. If you haven't got X11 for it to connect to, then it can't run. The other problem with it is you can't run it as root. Well, actually, I think you can. Let me just see what happens. So I come up with an annoying message which is hidden behind here. Right. Yeah, see, so it won't run if you're root. So basically you have to go back to a normal user. Alright, so if you OK that, so what happens is the any OpenGL one won't work. Yeah, see, so yeah, I think so basically some of them. Yeah, see, he keeps saying about how it doesn't support GLX. So basically, anyone which supports which is an OpenGL one, they won't work. But then the others, yeah, and there's quite a lot of OpenGL ones as well. So anything which is not OpenGL, that will actually work. Yes, there's a lot of OpenGL ones. So this is one way if you ever want to look at some of the Xscreensaver non-OpenGL ones, then this is one way to do it. Alright, so let's see if Flowblade will work. Yeah, I mean, I've run these two commands already, so I'm just skipping to the third one now. Right, so what a Flatpak is actually all of the environment required to run an application. And so what it does is it downloads like the whole environment, and I think it runs it from some sort of virtual mount, like a chroot. So this will just take a while to download. Right, okay, so that's downloaded, so let's see what happens if we try and run that. Alright. Yeah, I think what happens is it looks like it uses the namespaces in the kernel. Yeah, and that's a kernel feature. So after all of this, so it looks like Flatpak isn't going to work because basically the kernel doesn't have namespace support. And then Scenario doesn't look like it's working because it's asking for something from the video card hardware in sort of X11. Which it doesn't support. So it looks as if the only real program that you're gonna get any kind of support for is going to be Xscreensaver. So that's all you're gonna so this is the best thing you're going to be able to run, unfortunately. So at least you can use this to get past JWZ saying he's not going to put anything in the stuff on Windows, so you can just show them that at least the non-OpenGL ones actually work. You can get them to work on Windows, and the interesting thing is you can actually use it as a screensaver. Because if you click on the preview, see, it does actually work. So there, finally, you can get your revenge on JWZ by saying, look, Xscreensaver, and it's running on Windows. And Microsoft produced Windows, and we know you don't like Microsoft. But I suppose you'll be able to say that, well, you're not running the OpenGL ones, though. But maybe if because I think apparently you can get OpenGL to work. But you have to actually have the hardware on your so you got to have hardware OpenGL already working in Windows beforehand, and then you've got some sort of a chance. You can see these guys ain't gonna last long. Yeah, that was a waste of time, wasn't it? So now you can say to your X11 people that, look, I've got Xscreensaver running. You can easily watch Pac-Man getting taken out, isn't it? He wasn't going to make it, was he? So you can sit there going through all the non-GL ones, and I mean the performance actually seems okay considering that this is in a virtual machine. So yes, I suppose that's what you could call this. You call this revenge, get revenge on JWZ, isn't it? So that's the best thing that the Windows people can do with this with this WSL, because obviously the requirements for there's a lot of OpenGL ones, you notice. I think the Matrix one is actually, I think it's OpenGL actually. That doesn't seem to be here. There used to be one that called Matrix View, but it looks like they got rid of it. GL. There's a lot of OpenGL ones, isn't there? I'm sure there's actually more OpenGL ones now than there used to be. There never used to be that many. Yeah, all these GL ones, they're not going to work. There's a whole heap of OpenGL screensavers now compared to before. Yeah, I mean, okay, anyway, there you go. So, you could say this is the best thing you can do with the VCXsrv is have a look at some of the screensavers that you might be missing out on. Alright, so that's the end of that for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the other videos I get to do. Okay, bye.